And we continue at 1:06 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in Culver City.
John, several people have emailed us now at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com with pictures of the Screamin' Demons Motorcycle Club in Fresno, and it's exactly what you think it would look like.
It looks like an underground punk band logo.
Along with some swastikas and the stars and bars and a whole bunch of ammo.
Which is an odd choice for a group of Latinos.
I don't know. Did you see the president? He's about as white meth as they come.
But wait, what was the name of the guy who owned the restaurant? I thought it was a Latino surname.
Well, yes, that was Robert Bobby Salazar. But that doesn't mean that the motorcycle club is Latino.
No, and maybe he was Castilian. I don't know.
Robert Bobby Salazar?
800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. It is our pleasure to welcome our next guest to the program. She is the chairman of the L.A. County Republican Party, who you can follow on X at Roxanne Hoge. Roxanne Hoge, welcome.
Next slide. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot where I was for a second. Thank you
Next
guys
slide.
for having me today.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by. There's so much to get into. Let's start out with the news that we led the show with today, which is that the money is starting to pour in on both sides for and against Proposition 50, which is the proposition that we'll be voting on this November that would redraw the congressional district lines, disregard what the independent commission came up with, and produce a Democratic gerrymander that could gain 5 additional seats for the party of Jefferson and Jackson. What do you make of Proposition 50? What do you think is going to ultimately end up happening with it?
Like all propositions that are put before Californians, it's completely confusing. If it's named, the Puppies and Kittens Act, it'll allow the rape of an unconscious woman, like Prop 4757 did. So this one is no different. And what's crazy is people on both sides are confused. It's kind of like the gas tax, right? So vote no to really preserve democracy, but vote yes to upend the Constitution, but temporarily. By the way, the fact that they say temporarily is right up there with, the check is in the mail. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Oh, it's not you, it's me. Let's stop falling for this, people. It's not temporary.
No, and anything that's sold as temporary never is, just like when Jerry Brown raised our taxes.
Yeah. So it's, what's really distressing about it is that Sacramento and California Democrats just keep proving over and over again that they don't actually want to earn and to lead, right? They don't want to earn respect. This isn't about Republican versus Democrat, by the way. I'm, head of the LA GOP, and I understand that we're in the super minority. But it's interesting to me that just when, speaking of minorities, black and brown people started taking a step to the right, all of a sudden, all hands on deck, DCCC comes in and says, let's redraw the maps.
What do you think is going to happen to turnout? Because we're not used to voting in November of odd years. Many people cannot understand what is going to be in the language. It's purposely meant to deceive us. So even if you're trying to read it and figure out what it means, you're probably going to come to the wrong conclusion. Usually, if people are confused and they're not used to voting in a particular month, what happens is turnout falls off a cliff. Do you think turnout's going to be very low in this election?
I hope it's going to be very low for the left because they'll get complacent. What I plan to do and what all of Los Angeles County common sense conservatives and liberals who've been mugged should do is go to lagop.org and sign up to volunteer to talk to other people and get their ballots in. This is one thing I just have to beg our side to do. Ballots are going to drop October 6th. Vote October 6th. Turn them in October 6th. Here's the other reason. You were talking about the ad dollars that are going to be following everyone. The sooner you get your ballot in, the sooner those texts and phone calls and huge oversized mailers will stop.
How much money do you think is going to be spent on this thing? I've been hearing it's going to be over $100 million on both sides.
I don't doubt it. They God, it would be great to be a political consultant. These people just sort of print money. And the crazy thing is, when it comes down to it, the amount of money spent per vote is going to be astronomical. Why don't you just give everybody a Starbucks gift card and call it a day? But the truth is that I think it's going to be just like Prop 36, right? The establishment in Sacramento and every, doctrinaire California Democrat was against making crime illegal, which is already a bizarre thing to take on. The fact that they're selling this as a way to be more balanced when the congressional delegation is out of 54 people, only 9 will disagree with your side. It's a hell of a take, and let's just see how it works out for them.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if this thing passes, how much resentment is created in places like the North State, where they currently have congressional districts up there that have people who live in their communities and certainly listen to those communities. And you're going to take those districts and you're going to redraw them in ways so that the population centers in places like Marin County and the North State has no representation in the Congress at all. If they already hate Sacramento today, just take away their voice in the Congress, take away their ability to impact change of any kind, and I think the resentment is going to go off the charts.
Oh, 100%. And that's going to be across the board. When you say to people, hey, we have a constitutionally mandated independent citizens redistricting committee, and they're trying to upend that, they don't like that. So the challenge is to let people know that. The other thing that's crazy is they're making an already confusing thing more confusing. If you live in, say, Huntington Beach, you should understand who your congressperson is and where to find them. And they're making the splits and the drawings so crazy that people are going to have to drive like 4 hours to down the coast to, from the north to get to a district office. None of it makes sense. And so it has to pass the reasonable person test. The other thing is, even if it does pass, it's going to be, someone's going to sue again. Now, the California circuit is always a little bit of a circus, and so tossed out immediately the challenges that came up. But it's going to be tied up for a while, and we're supposed to be having a primary election in May and June of 2026.
Here's my prediction. Gavin is going to do with Prop 50 the same thing that he did with the recall, which is in a one-party state, just try to make it a straight-up partisan vote. If you're a Democrat, vote yes. If you're a Republican, vote no. There are more Democrats than Republicans. So if that happens, Gavin wins. And I think he's going to try to make it as simple as that.
He is, but remember, he didn't win on Prop 36. People don't like being mugged, and they don't like having corrupt politicians stack the deck. I mean, I get that in our very lopsided state, people don't love conservatism, but they do know what fairness is. And people who are center left actually have a very finely tuned sense of, what's fair and what's right. And especially when they notice that minorities like myself are going to be disenfranchised by these maps, I think he's going to have some explaining to do.
We're speaking with Roxanne Hoge, the chairwoman of the LA County Republican Party. You can follow her on X at Roxanne Hoge. Roxanne, let's talk about Gavin Newsom here for a second, because his social media team has been quite aggressive at going after anyone who questions what Gavin Newsom is doing of any kind, including going after fire victims who say that the state didn't do what they should have done to prevent the fires and has not been helpful in getting them and allowing them to rebuild after the fires. One of those individuals is Spencer Pratt from reality television, who lost his home in the fire. And the governor's team has just been merciless in going after him, including this weekend posting an older picture of Spencer Pratt when he was younger and thinner, and a current picture where he's put on some weight and several years older and was mocking his appearance, mocking the weight gain, mocking the aging process, mocking all of that, because they're upset with him for being critical of the state's performance regarding the fires. What do you make of that type of behavior?
They are Alinsky acolytes, pick a target, freeze it, personalize it. They're not just going after Spencer, who, by the way, is very intelligently reading all the bills, understanding everything. He doesn't just fly off the mouth at something. He is actually doing his homework and bringing real information to people who are in an incredibly vulnerable situation in their lives. They're also, by the way, this little trio of, I would call them middle schoolers, but that's unkind to middle schoolers. They have gone after people who defend him. So I defended Spencer this weekend, and then immediately Izzy, the bow-tied, naked mole rat-looking person, completely went after me with trolls and just disgusting commentary. I think they're taking the wrong lesson in their glee to say, look, we can be Trumpy. What Trump has behind him that Gavin doesn't have is actual acumen and the ability to deliver results. And Gavin Newsom has none of that. He can play a governor on TV, but his results are terrible.
Well, here's the other thing, too. You're always told in this business not to punch down. You're not supposed to go after people who are regarded as sympathetic. If you go after people who have it coming, that's one thing. If you go after someone who lost their house in a fire that was preventable and they're angry about that, it's not a good look for you. And it seems like he doesn't care about that. He just wants to attack anyone who's questioning him, regardless of whether or not they're sympathetic or not. And this is just the strategy. This is just what they're doing. I also get the impression that he's also just done with being governor of California, where looking bad for going after fire victims is something that's just not relevant to him anymore, because he doesn't have to run for office in California ever again. So if he offends the fire victims in the Pacific Palisades, who cares? He's looking at the Democratic primary where they get to vote in other states, not in California, or at least not in California at first. And that's just how he sees it.
Well, remember what Alex Michelson told you. We're not even sure that Gavin knows this is happening. I mean, he sort of gave them like, hey, do whatever you want. But I don't think he cares about details, as evidenced by the fact that reporters were invited into his office last week, and I don't think most of them had ever seen it, that he doesn't talk to anyone in the assembly, not Republicans certainly, but he doesn't even bother to talk to Democrats. And so he's continually being surprised by their bat guano crazy bills and begging them to either pull them or threatening to veto them. So he's never actually worked a day as governor, nor at any of the other jobs he purports to have had. He's a thirsty influencer, and God bless him in that. Go off into the sunset and podcast and maybe be the next Batman, but there's nothing good or positive that has come out of his quote-unquote governance.
I think from his point of view, he's being rewarded for it because he's shot up in the polls nationally in the Democratic primary. So he's looking at those numbers and saying, what I'm doing is working, so I'm going to continue to do it.
Oh, yeah, no. For Democrat boomers who like to, tell the likes of me, who's from Jamaica, that I should go back to where I came from because I had the temerity to become a conservative, they're eating this up. They think it's delicious. I don't think it'll play in, Peoria or Pennsylvania or any other swing states, but he's totally loving it. And yes, it's working for now.
Here's the other thing, too. There are certain elements of his strategy that look like the French army to me, where the French army loses all their wars because they're always fighting the last battle. When he runs for president in 2028, Donald Trump's name will not be on the ballot. He'll be running against J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio or whomever the Republicans decide to nominate. If you spend all of your time talking about someone whose name won't be on the ballot, you don't look like you're relevant. You don't look like you're in the now. You look like you're obsessed with yesterday's news. And whether or not he thinks that will be true in 2028, certainly he buys into the fact that Trump is going to be the dominant personality and the dominant figure in the 2028 election. And I'm just not sure that's true.
It's like WWF, right? He's nothing without the big scary orange man bad to go up against. And I just don't think there's that much there. Now, I don't discount the ability of people to be swayed by a finely creased pant leg and a charming smile. But I pray and hope that, unfortunately, what he's done for California is his calling card. And what he's done has been nothing good.
What do you think he does if he loses the Democratic primary for president? Certainly he doesn't care about California, so I can't imagine that he'll come back here and run for some other office. Willie Brown over the weekend speculated that Alex Padilla would run for governor and win and then appoint Gavin Newsom to the United States Senate. I guess that's a possibility since Newsom appointed Padilla to the U.S. Senate when he had a vacancy to fill. What do you think Newsom ends up doing?
I think that's a, grotesque but good option for him. But the other thing is, a think tank foundation, or he goes off to live on the ranch with the in-laws in Wyoming or Montana and just becomes, the gentleman farmer character and just has lots of affairs and does whatever other recreational things he does.
Roxanne Hoge, chairwoman of the LA County Republican Party. If you want to follow her on X, you can do so at Roxanne Hoge. And if people want to find you online or the county party online, how can they do that?
That's LAGOP.org. And let's join the fight and take it to the Democrats and take it to the left and the people who want to corrupt the entire system of California.
Roxanne Hoge, chairwoman of the LA County Republican Party. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Thanks, guys.
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, now that we've hit the halfway point of today's show, if you want to continue listening after we sign off at 3, that's easy to do.
Like, let's say you missed last hour and the story of the Fresno restaurateur that allegedly hired a motorcycle gang to torch his business for the insurance money. Well, it's up online now. Search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's the Apple Podcasts app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes. It's very easy with some of these apps to share with your friends, with your family, with any Facebook groups or Nextdoor groups that you're on. Spread the word about this show. We're also on YouTube. Do a Google on the YouTube. You can get one of our apps, the KABC app, the KSFO app. We're even on Saturdays on KMJ, so you can get the KMJ Now app. There are so many different ways to listen to us live and download all the podcasts. So, I don't know. Download some podcasts. Why not? You got room on your phone.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. And since it was a long weekend, that means we have way more contributions to the California crime blotter than usual. So, Randy, let's reopen the blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And this one takes us to the chapel.
There was a big wedding over the weekend. And typically at wedding receptions, you've got your food, you've got your drinks, you got the big cake in the middle, maybe a gluten-free dessert for all the people that can't have cake. And then you've got your table with all the gifts. And sometimes what you'll have is a little box where people can write handwritten notes and drop in their checks, drop in their cash, a little nest egg for the lovely couple. Somebody walked into a wedding and stole that box. For more, here is KCAL in Los Angeles.
Only on KCAL, a couple's wedding night turned from celebration to heartbreak. Their gift box filled with...
Did it ruin every part of the wedding night?
Well, let's hope there's at least one or two parts of the wedding that worked out okay.
Their gift box filled with tens of thousands of dollars from hundreds of guests.
Whoa!
That's a lot.
Although I'm sure if you look at the parents that paid for this wedding, it's still at a major loss.
It's crazy to me what weddings cost.
I have been to several weddings of members of my wife's family that it was ridiculous how much money was spent. And I was so glad when I got married during COVID that you couldn't have a big wedding. So we had an 8-person wedding and it was great.
You lucked out.
It was the one. There were 2 good things about COVID. There was no traffic driving here for like 2 years, and I got to have a small wedding.
Stolen right off the table.
And as you just saw, the heist was caught on security video.
KCAL's Jasmine Veal tells us how the couple says the thief managed to crash their big night.
It's a little different than the film Wedding Crashers. In there, they were just crashing for tail. Now you've got wedding crashers who are stealing the gifts.
Yeah, it used to be the open bar that was the reason to show up if you weren't invited.
You better watch out or someone's going to take your blender.
It started as a night full of love, laughter, and dancing for newlyweds Nadine and George Farahat.
It was a beautiful party. It was the best night of our lives.
No wedding is the best night of anybody's life. Stop lying.
No, first of all, you've been starving yourself for like 6 months. And the wedding is the culmination of that.
It can be a fine evening. It might be a memory that you look back on, but nobody honestly can tell you their wedding day was the best day of their lives.
Maybe the day they signed the divorce papers.
It's a stressful day with all the party planning.
The best night of our lives.
And then you've got that one drunk friend that makes it all about them.
Is that a reference to Brooke Shields?
The best night of our lives.
But as the party was winding down around midnight Saturday inside the Renaissance event venue in Glendale, it took a turn no couple ever expects.
Oh, look.
Security.
They just figured the worst thing they'd have to deal with was the DJ playing Play That Funky Music White Boy again.
Yeah, the playlist for weddings really hasn't changed over the last 25 years, has it?
It's terrible.
It took a turn no couple ever expects.
There's a whole hierarchy of people that go into the DJ business. Maybe you end up doing big shows. Maybe you do the club scene. Maybe you work in radio. The lowest rung of that is wedding DJ.
You listen to the same, 30 songs every single day and night?
Can you imagine your mental state if your entire career is hitting the play button on the cha-cha slide?
Yeah, I think I'd have to go back to community college.
It took a turn no couple ever expects.
Oh, look.
Security video shows a man they don't recognize taking off with their gift box stuffed with...
By the way, that's another thing. You get 300 people at a wedding, I guarantee the couple doesn't know 100 of them.
Oh, at least.
With tens of thousands of dollars in checks and cash.
Maybe $80,000 to $100,000.
We did have a lock for the box. The box was secured.
No, it wasn't.
If it was stolen, it wasn't secured.
Just like safes aren't safe, it is very obvious that your box was not secured, nor would you expect it to be.
Well, you don't assume that one of your guests is going to steal the box of money.
Did have a lock for the box. The box was secured.
He walked around. He was holding doors open for people.
Glendale police.
By the way, it's 2025. Maybe you can Venmo the couple.
Okay, so who do you think was the thief? Someone who was invited to the wedding and just couldn't resist?
Oh, no.
Or someone who snuck in?
I think it's someone that snuck in. Because in that big of a crowd, who's going to point out that nobody knows who that is? When you go to a wedding, you don't know who any of these people are.
That's true.
Did have a lock for the box. The box.
You just say, I'm the second cousin. No one's going to question that.
Nope.
Did have a lock for the box. The box was secured.
He walked around. He was holding doors open for people.
Glendale police say they are investigating this heist as grand theft.
So the getaway car and where the perpetrator exited was back here in the alley.
Another security video angle shows what appears to be the man jumping into a getaway car.
He had a driver ready to go.
Okay, so they planned this one out.
We're going for the money tree. Might be a money box, but there's going to be something where people are putting checks in to well wish the happy couple, and we're getting our hands on it. And if I got any more room, I'm also going to get the ninja.
I wonder if he picked the bride's garter belt.
Waiting in the alley out back.
He grabbed the box. The getaway car opened the front door for him. He ran right in, closed the door, and they drove off.
The bride and groom say they believe that the suspected thief was able to walk right in through the front doors of their venue. He was chatting with guests.
Well, do you typically have a bouncer at these things?
You wouldn't think you'd need some muscle at a wedding.
Of their venue. He was chatting with guests, even the bartender, for about 2 hours before he made off with that box of cash, and they think he might.
And he probably waited until after the dance floor had started, after the dinner, when everyone who's at that wedding has been taking advantage of the open bar with the $5 wine.
Okay, that's kind of risky, just hanging out for 2 hours where you are engaged in small talk with people. After 2 hours of conversation, someone is going to pick up on the fact that you were not an invited guest.
They didn't.
How drunk were they?
It's a wedding. And usually, the booze that's served at a wedding is not top-notch, so you're just going to get drunker.
Yeah, if they use well vodka at these weddings, it's usually named after some Eastern European war criminal.
And they think he might have done this before.
He was dressed in black. He had an earpiece, communicating with someone. So
He had a man on the inside.
No red flag there.
Jerry Haddad is a close friend of the couple. He was one.
There were 300 people here, and nobody flagged him. Nobody said, with the security guard that was there, hey, what's up with this guy?
I think a lot of people were enjoying that open bar.
You have to. Try going to a wedding and not drinking.
Jerry Haddad is a close friend of the couple. He was one of 300 guests at the wedding, where they even paid for a private security guard.
Yeah, I'd get my money back on that one.
Yeah, what was a security guard doing as the money was being stolen?
Security guards are for the appearance of security. It's for the illusion of safety. What do you think they were really going to do? Keep their eye on the gift table like a hawk?
Nope.
Where they even paid for a private.
They were probably chatting up drunk cousins, too.
They might have been drunk themselves.
Where they even paid for a private security guard.
it's extremely frustrating. We all feel collectively violated by what happened.
We tried contacting the venue to ask about the theft, but no response. George says it was more than just the money.
Really, it's just an invasion of privacy. People write special notes, thank yous, congratulations, and that's been taken away from us as well.
Were you really going to read those?
Okay. I don't think you can blame the venue for this happening. If everyone was so drunk that a thief came in and talked to all your friends and family for 2 hours with an earpiece in their ear and a getaway driver out front and no one figured it out, including your security guard, that's on you.
This is one of those things. I'm surprised this doesn't happen more often.
For Nadine, these tears on her wedding night were not the ones she imagined. But they say they hope that the man who stole from them will be caught.
We don't want anyone to ever go through this. It's upsetting and it's heartbreaking.
In Glendale, Jasmine Veal, KCAL News.
So there you go. The wedding crasher that shows up at a 300-person wedding, makes small talk with everyone for 2 hours, and makes off with the gift box worth up to $100,000 in cash and checks from the relatives.
Cheers to the newlyweds. And Randy, we have time for one more edition of The Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And this one involves what I was using in San Francisco last 4th of July, Waymos.
Be nice to the Waymos. Don't obstruct the Waymos. Don't block the Waymos. And don't jump on or off the Waymos because you think it's funny and the robots don't have feelings. Because someday the robots are going to take over and they're going to remember this.
I just hope when they do, they remember that I was kind to the Waymos and they don't kill me.
Now, here's a story about how some jackasses are hurting our future robot overlords. Here's ABC 7 in the Bay.
The Waymo stuff.
A chaotic scene in San Francisco's Marina District is raising new questions and concerns about autonomous vehicles and how people are interacting with them.
Like the Waymo's constantly learning. It has to constantly learn behavior, and that's how it got to the point where it drives better than I do. But if it also learns that humans are jackasses, it might decide that it wants to run you over.
Well, given how many jackasses exist in the world, they'll learn that before they learn about turning right on a red light.
Cell phone video shows a man jumping off of a Waymo as the crowd cheers while others...
People are really stupid.
How long do you think it took the Waymo to figure that out?
block its path. Good evening, I'm Ahmed.
There are just some severely dumb people in our society.
And they seem to be multiplying.
Good evening, I'm Ahmed Dates.
And I'm Dan Ashley. Thanks for joining us. Tonight, ABC 7 News reporter Francis Wang speaks with a transportation expert who says this kind of behavior could have very serious consequences, not just fun and games, not just a prank, but it's a really serious thing.
Yeah, and Dan,
robots remember.
John was nice to you. Randy, too.
Yeah, and Dan, whenever there's video that garners attention like this, there's mixed reactions. Some people actually do find it entertaining. Others say, hey.
Those are the dumb people.
Dumb people doing it, dumb people being amused by it.
Oh, they jumped on a Waymo. That's so funny. Because it's a robot.
Entertaining. Others say, hey, it's just young people drunk, out and about. But the expert I spoke with says this technology is still learning how to interact with people. So aside from it being dangerous in the moment, it could also lead to problems further down the road. A crowded and chaotic scene captured on cell phone video early Sunday morning. People out in the Marina District just before bars closed at 2 a.m. 3 Waymos stalled in the cross streets, seemingly confused.
The Waymo is constantly programmed, don't run people over, don't run people over. But when you're blocking its path because you're a drunk idiot, what's it supposed to do?
Well, here's the thing. The Waymos exist to benefit the drunk idiots because the Waymos can drive them home without them actually getting behind the wheel of a car. If they torture the Waymos and they take the Waymos offline, then how do the drunks get home?
One young man jumps and flips off a Waymo at least 3 times with some cheering. The next day, people back here at the same intersection.
By the way, since we have this on video, is anything going to happen to that jackass?
Shouldn't they go to jail?
The next day, people back here at
the very least, file a claim. Those things are they're usually Jaguars. These are not cheap cars.
No, they're not.
The next day, people back here at the same intersection expressing concern.
It just seems like a huge safety hazard, all around.
I think it's all fun and game until something happens, and then it's too late.
It's especially troubling to Salika Josiah Talbot, a transportation mobility policy expert and former federal advisor with decades of leadership shaping autonomous vehicle regulation.
One of the things that is happening here is we're teaching artificial intelligence that people are dangerous.
Exactly.
Well, the faster they learn that, the better.
As soon as AI realizes that we are the threat, we're done.
And AI doesn't have a lot of the hangups that human beings do. So they're going to figure out just exactly who the jackasses are real fast, too.
We're teaching artificial intelligence that people are harmful, and that's not what we want.
San Francisco police say officers arrived quickly. One seen here clearing the street to let the Waymo move on. Talbot points out this moment in the video.
There was an officer that appeared and eventually sort of shooed everyone to the side so that the vehicle could begin to move. Even the vehicle's hesitancy as it began to operate again was because of the intrusiveness of humans.
Waymo confirms
the car is learning that people are bad. We don't want to go down this road.
No, we don't.
Waymo confirms to ABC7 News that the car was not driving a passenger at the time and was not damaged, but calls the incident serious, saying it condemns vandalism and is committed to safety in the cities it's operating in. Talbot says law enforcement must take these incidents seriously, too.
We need law enforcement to deal with the bad actors who are trying to, whether it's playing games or seriously trying to harm the technology, to curtail that behavior so that people can move safely throughout community.
Yeah, just shooing them away is not going to do it.
Nope. It means they're going to be right back out there again the next time they get drunk on a weekend.
Just remember, Waymo, John and Randy have always been on your side.
We love the Waymos. All right, we got one more hour coming up right here on The John Phillips Show.